Welcome to week 6 of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge here in my kitchen. My name is Laura. I'm from Eastern Iowa. We are a family of 3, and today I'm doing something that I saw Becky on Acre Homestead make, and she kind of inspired me to do this. So as you can see, I'm peeling my potatoes, and I'm going to get those done, and I will run over and give them a rinse and let them sit in a little bit of water while I go ahead and cut them into like French fry shapes. When Becky did it, she did circles, but I think for us and for my munchkin, the fry shape would be way more fun. So I'm gonna get those all chopped up and put them back in the water, and I'm gonna let those sit for a little while so it can pull the starch out. I am gonna line my cookie sheet with some parchment paper. You'll see later I end up removing it because I go to flip them and it just is a whole big mess, so I just got rid of that. So I put some olive oil down. So I'm going to put some paper towel down and put my potato pieces, my potato fries, on there to try and get some of the excess water out. I just don't want it to steam. I want to try and prevent it from steaming in the oven as much as possible. So I'm just going to take a flour sack towel here and dry them off good enough, and then I'll get them put on my pan. I don't want to leave these plain, so I'm just going to take some taco seasoning and dust it over the top. And then I'm going to end up roasting this in the oven about, I think I did like 40 minutes at 350, just until they were tender. Meanwhile, these tomatoes have been in my fridge since like the end of December, and they're starting to get wrinkled, so I'm going to find just a few to pull out and cut up to put on top of our like potato nachos. The rest of those tomatoes I put in the freezer just to freeze whole, and I can use those in a pasta dish or whatever. So I'm going to cut these little grape tomatoes up. Also, to go on top, I found this nacho cheese down in the basement, so we're going to use that up. And I also have this is my last home can of chicken. I'm going to put on top as protein and of course cheese. So I'm going to take this can of chicken, drain it, and I'm going to add some more taco seasoning to it. And I'm going to get in there with my fork. And as I'm breaking the chicken chunks apart, I'm also mixing in that taco seasoning. Next time I go to the grocery store, I need to load up on chicken breast because we're not eating tin chicken anymore. And so we definitely need to put more of this down on the pantry shelf. So at this point, the potatoes are nice and tender, and I'm noticing quite a bit of the oil left on the sheet pan, and I really don't want to consume all that, so I'm just going to absorb it with a paper towel. To start off, I'm going to put some of this sharp cheddar cheese on top, just a thin layer. I don't need much because we have all that nacho cheese coming. And I'm going to try and evenly distribute this nacho cheese around as best as I can. Then we're going to go in with the chicken, and if I see any big chunks, I am going to make those smaller, make it easier to eat, more bite-sized. So we're going to get that spread out as evenly as possible. And finally, we'll take those little tomatoes that I cut up, spread them around, and once I've done that, I am going to put it back in the oven just long enough to heat that cheese through. Here it is, and it's glory, all melty and delicious. This was so good, and I'm so grateful I saw Becky's video on it. Right here I'm plating up my son's, and we all ended up having seconds, and we still had enough the next day for lunch. And of course, can't have something Mexican theme and not put some of our homemade ranch on it. I also have some of the mashed avocado cups. Those are great in the fridge. They last for all, but also I freeze them and they thaw beautifully. I even have some that are freeze dried if I really run out. And Cholula, obviously. So it's Tuesday, and we got invited over to my brother-in-law's house for stromboli and Caesar salad. And they left this bowl last time they were here, so I decided I was going to fill it and bring it. So I'm making a fruit salad. I wanted to make a family recipe, but I didn't have the right pudding, so I'm just winging it. So I'm just mixing this banana cream pudding the way the package says with 2 cups of cold milk. Whisk it until it's nice and thick. So I did bring up this can of fruit cocktail, but when I opened it and went to drain the juice, it was thick. I wasn't I wasn't too sure about it. So you'll see I ended up not using it, which is totally fine because it made for a good snack for Oliver. So it did not go to waste, but it was just too thick. I didn't like it. But I did use a full can of mandarin oranges. Normally I would have saved the juice and then drank it. I just wasn't thinking at this point in time. So I'm going to add those to my banana cream pudding. And then I also have a can of pineapple tidbits. Once again, normally I would drink that, but I just wasn't thinking. So we'll add that in. I'm going to give it a big stir, and then I will start in on my maraschino cherries, which I try to always have on hand, but sadly this is my last bit of it, so I'm going to have to get some more. But I am going to add quite a few because I love maraschino cherries, and I do have to destem these ones. Now I will say, while the family recipe is still a huge favorite, this one I was told I could make again and bring it. So I'm taking that as a win, and I already want to make it again just for my house here. It was so good and so easy and so basic at the same time. And we had homemade stromboli, which was wonderful, and Caesar salad. And the kids ate great, and us adults ate great, and we loved it and had a good time. Well, a new day is upon us, and today was absolutely crazy. School let out early, which didn't really affect my son because he's in preschool, but we had ice storms, so all of his appointments all got pushed around, and I felt like a chicken without a head. So I'm making a really cheating dinner. So I boiled 2 cups of little mini elbows, and I used 2 cans of Aldi brand chili, no bean chili, which is honestly my son's favorite brand out of all the ones I've tried. And I'm going to add 2 handfuls of sharp cheddar cheese to it. And I'm just going to let that melt and heat up. And I did add a little bit of water to it because it was a little tight and I needed it to be a little looser. And this is the first time my husband's had this. I've made it a couple times for Oliver for quick lunches, and everyone loved it. So it's nice that we can always resort to this should we need to. So Tuesday night, my brother-in-law sent us home with a pizza dough. He used to work at the pizza place in the mall and knows everything there is about pizza dough. So I got out our pepperoni log. I'm going to cut some of that up. I also found a couple bags of mozzarella cheese that I shred and frozen, and I also went down to the pantry and got some homemade marinara sauce. What I'm cutting cutting now is a peppered dry salami. Now I don't have his recipe for making pizza dough, but I do have a video on my recipe, so I'll make sure to link that in the description box. He did help me and give me some tips for it. So I'll make sure you look in that description box for that video link. So I do cook my pizza in my cast iron. So I've just put some olive oil down. I'm gonna start spreading my dough. So I can tell that the dough is gonna need to sit a little bit longer. It is bouncing back pretty good. So I'm just gonna start it off, get it spread out a little bit, and I'm gonna let it sit for a while and I'll come back to it and hopefully it won't bounce back quite as much. So these string cheeses, we don't really eat as string cheese. My husband will occasionally, but my son doesn't like them. And so now I only buy them to use when I make pizza and actually use them to stuff the crust. And Oliver and I really love banana peppers, so I decided I'd get some more out. But as you can see, the dough is spreading and staying a little bit easier. And his dough is so good, it's so thin that I always rip a hole in it. But I'm just taking one and putting string cheese on each side, rolling it in, and it actually works beautifully. And we kind of don't make pizza without stuffing the crust now. My cast iron has been preheating with the oven up to 500 degrees, where I'm going to put my parchment with the crust in, and then my marinara is just plain, like it's nothing special. It's not like pizza sauce or spaghetti sauce. So I'm going to spread some of that down, and I do take some pizza seasoning. It's just some herb blend that I'm going to sprinkle on top to give it that pizza sensation you would look for. So I'm going to take my mozzarella and spread it all around. I honestly thought I was out of mozzarella. I was very upset because I didn't know what to do with my pizza crust now, but I did find down in the depths of my freezer some. So yeah, I'm just going to layer on the meat. I'll try and get the first layer pretty even, and then anything extra I'll put on my husband's half because he loves meat, and the other half you'll see I end up putting and covering it with banana peppers, which is exactly how Oliver and I love it. And a little extra mozzarella on the top never hurt anyone. So I'm going to put this in the oven, 500 degrees. I'm going to bake it for about 15 to 17 minutes. Meanwhile, I have the rest of this Caesar salad kit that I actually got when I was out with one of my girlfriends on Saturday, and I need to use it up. I ended up having some for lunch on Sunday. So we're gonna have Caesar salad with our pizza tonight. Does anyone else like these salad kits? If so, what is your favorite? Because we love to try new and different ones. Here's the pizza, all done, nice and bubbly. Smells good. I'm gonna take it out of the pan and cut it up and get my munchkin served up. So we hadn't really ever tried salad like this with him before, and I'm very happy to say that he loved it. I think he loved the crunch and obviously the flavor, but yeah. This is the pizza. It was good. We ate most of it. We had enough left for lunch, but the salad was all completely gone by the end of the night. So it's Friday, and I'm gonna boil some of this angel hair pasta, and I'm trying to recreate a meal that we had in the dining centers when I was in college, which was a ham and Swiss macaroni and cheese kind of thing. So I'm doing my best here, making a roux with some butter and flour. And everything I saw said I needed to add half and half, which I don't have half and half, I just have milk. So I added milk and then added more butter to act like the fat from the cream that would have been in the half and half. So I'm going to get that all whisked up, nice and thick. And I'm making sure to put plenty of salt and pepper in for flavor. And also a couple, I would say, tablespoons of Worcestershire, the W sauce, and a few lugs of Tabasco. This is the Swiss I have. It's just from a deli counter. And I'm going to use about half that package, so like 5 slices. And everything I read said it had to be shredded, but I think this ended up working just fine. I'm going to get that all stirred in, let it melt, get nice and thick before I add the rest. So down in my freezer, I had 2 of these bags of 2 cups of diced ham each. So I decided to use one for this meal, and you'll see how I use the other one. I'm just going to dump that right in and let it get warm. Got Oliver's bowl started with some angel hair. I'll give him some sauce. While this didn't thicken up as well as I was hoping, it actually worked perfectly with the angel hair. So I don't know that I would have changed anything. It was really good. Oliver ate it as fast as I could blink my eyes. Later on this same night, I decided I wanted something sweet or a snack, something different to eat. So I'm going to try and make granola bars for the first time because I have everything and it sounds pretty good. So I'm putting my butter and my sugars and my vanilla into my saucepan here, and I'm just going to melt it all together. While that's on the burner melting, I'm going to mix up my dry stuff, which is 2.5 cups of oats. And I wanted to do like a white chocolate cherry kind of flavoring. And I had 2 of these bags and ended up doing a cup, which is one of these bags worth of dried cherries. And this is the white chocolate bar I have in my pantry. I don't know how long it's been in there, but it's time to get it going. So I'm going to chop that up. And I end up adding, I believe, about half into the mix and saving the other half for on top. That, as you saw, was all my sugars and honey and butter all melted together. So I'm letting it cool. That cooled for about 5 minutes. I'm going to add it in to my bowl here with my dry stuff. And we'll get it all stirred together. Now, I did not put any nuts in this. And if I had them, I would have added almonds. I think that would have been really good with the cherry, but also with the white chocolate. So if you have it, I would put almonds in here for sure. So I've got that all mixed together, and I have just an 8x8 pan here. I'm just gonna shove it all in the pan and use the bottom of my spoon to press it in place. Now I'll take the rest of my chocolate, put it on the top, spread it out semi-evenly, and once again, just use that spoon to kind of press that chocolate in so it doesn't fall out immediately. I did let this sit in the refrigerator for about half hour to an hour. Now I'm going to cut it up, and this was so soft and chewy and hearty and delicious. I don't know that I can buy granola bars from the store anymore with how easy and simple this was. So it's Saturday, and I have that second bag of diced ham, so I'm going to do like an egg bake with some eggs from our girls, a couple bags of cheese, my Idaho spud box that I had found and trying to work through, and of course leftover bacon from last weekend that I had put in the freezer, and some of that ham. So I'm going to start off with trying to figure out how many of these dried hash browns I need to fill the bottom of my pan because I want it to be kind of like the crust. So I end up using 2 cups of these dried spuds, to which I am going to add on top 2 cups of super hot water so that they can kind of plump back up before I put the egg mixture and everything else over the top. We are lucky enough that our girls have produced throughout this entire winter Hasn't been great, 2 eggs or maybe an egg a day. But lately I've been getting 4, so I'm super grateful for them and that. In this recipe, I ended up using about 8 eggs. I'm going to whisk those up, add a little milk in to help them fluff up a little bit. Add some pepper, but I'm not going to add any salt because the bacon and the ham are super salty. So I'm going to add some of this mozzarella cheese left over from when we did pizza, and also going to add in some more of this sharp cheddar and give that a good mix. Meanwhile, I'm going to cut up my cooked bacon and get my ham out and ready. So I am going to do a layer of ham. It ends up being quite a bit, but that's okay. My husband loves meat everything, so he's going to thoroughly enjoy this dinner. Top it off with the bacon, and then add my egg and cheese mixture on top. And at first I thought maybe I would have to mix up some more eggs, but once I got in there and actually saw it, it was coating everything really nicely. So I am going to bake this at 350 for about 40 minutes, or at least until it's cooked all the way through, like so the middle doesn't jiggle. But I realized I didn't have that much cheese left in this bag, so I just threw it on top. Get rid of it, get gone. That was the last of my pre-shredded cheddar cheese. I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and I hope everyone will join me next Sunday on my post for week 7 of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. This is how dinner turned out. It was a great way to end the week.